Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today, as he does every other Friday, Tom Walls from the Firearms Academy of Seattle. Tom, we are back to a regular training Friday rather than a few of the past ones where we did some news commentary as well. This one is all about training. Speaking of training, spring is coming up. Classes are going to start ramping up here pretty soon, at least in the lower tier of states and along the West Coast. We're going to talk today about range bags. In my range bag right now, I've got Ear Pro, I've got iPro, I got ammo. I'm good to go, right?
You're on the way. You're on the way. First off, good to see you again, Paul.
Yes, sir.
And before air, I know you're excited about an upcoming trip, so enjoy. Now, range bags. Where I live, I shoot outdoor ranges. If you shoot an indoor range, you may have been able to keep up your regular training schedule during the winter months. I think indoor ranges are great if that's all you've got. It's a matter of preference and availability. However, at least once a year, you need to go through that bag. Let's talk about the other stuff, especially when you're going to an outdoor range or you're going to a range facility for a class, because those are ramping up. It's getting warm enough. We won't lose the magazines in the snow this time of year. You don't have the pro shop to run back to during break and buy a magazine because one of yours crapped out or anything like that. So there are a few little things that I've picked up over the years that I'd love to share that have made my life ever so much easier the last several decades because I've had them handy. Some of them are obvious, some of them not, and I'm really hoping we get some cool reader comments with guys' advice on stuff that has been useful to them, because I'll steal the best ideas. So let's talk about that. So you've got your iPro.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your Ear Pro. Take a look at that shit. Stuff gets scratched. Stuff gets broken in the range bags. Maybe the dog slept on the bag. Who knows? Mr. Murphy, you know Mr. Murphy, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, hates us with a passion. And I've seen some of the weirdest stuff you can imagine go wrong that you'd never think in a million years would happen. So first off, check your blaster. I would recommend giving it a cleaning, not necessarily because it needs it, but when you are looking at it and do a good field strip, if you are competent with how to do a detail strip, maybe once a year, every year and a half, and know you can get it back together and it's still safe and functional, consider doing that. Look for worn pieces. Look for broken pieces. Think about replacing the springs.
Yes.
I read 1911s a lot. They tend to go through springs a bit more. I would rather start out the season rather than say, I'm going to wait till it craps out before I replace it because I want to save $7 or $8. False economy, especially if it's your carry gun.
Yeah, if it's your carry gun, you're betting your life that not you spending that $7 or $8 is going to pan out for you.
Yeah, don't cheap out when it comes to serious self-defense. One trick I found with that, I keep several ahead. And when I'm doing a field strip and cleaning, I will take out a fresh one in the package so I don't get them mixed up and check the length. And when the spring starts to wear out, become less functional, rather than wait till they malfunction, if it's more than a coil shorter that's compressed and degenerated, I'll just swap them out ahead of time. Especially critical if you're going to a class, but it's nice to do on a regular basis. You don't have to worry about that. Check your extractors for chips. Make sure your ejector hasn't busted. I've had that happen. That's weird. Make sure the sights aren't loose. Check the screws on anything you've got. Long guns, handguns, shotguns. Blue Loctite is your friend. If you're not familiar with blue Loctite, it's a liquid thing, comes in a little teeny tube, and there are different color codes for how tight they lock. Get the medium one. It's typically blue.
Mm-hmm.
I used to ride a Harley a lot, and blue thread lock was definitely my friend with the vibration.
And oil absorber, but we'll just leave that there.
And don't use red Loctite because that's like welding it. But check the gun basically. Make sure there's nothing wrong with it. Inspect it like you were buying it again. Go over your holster if you're using a holster, especially the Kydex ones, but certainly the leather ones. Make sure it does everything we need a holster to do. It's got to hold it firmly. The screws on Kydex holsters will loosen over time the more you use them. You've been doing dry fire, even without making the bang sound. Screws are going to loosen. Again, get it tensioned the way you want, but with some thread locker, and that will last you most of a season. Check your mag pouches. Check the stitching on your leather. Make sure it does what it needs to do.
I use Kydex holsters a lot, the hybrid holsters. I really like them. And one thing I found is you need to check them regularly, because if you are driving a truck a lot, you are so tired at the end of your driving shift that you take the gun out, you empty the gun, and you lay down on your back thinking, I'm just going to get a few seconds of sleep, then I'll get up and I'll take the holster off. You can turn over on that thing and break the Kydex.
Oh my gosh, I've had them break without knowing it. I mean, we can break them on purpose in a handgun retention or hand class with dummy guns, of course. But yeah, just check it over like your life depends on it.
Yeah.
Your basic gear. Okay. Check your magazines. Go ahead.
We've got a lot of comments coming in. I want to get a few of them in.
Oh, get into that stuff.
Mike DeWine says, when spring is sprung and the grass has riz, that's where the freedom seeds is. George says, I always take a first aid kit and a tourniquet. And I'm fairly certain that's something you're going to be getting into shortly, Tom.
Yep. Good man, George.
Big John 410 says, I added a magazine loader to my range bag. Those Uplulas, those things are awesome. And if you are an AR shooter, they make maglulas too that will handle an AR mag. Let's see here. And
this is all good stuff, guys. Bring it on.
Yeah, keep the suggestions coming. I want to get this in from 500 Magnum, although it's not about range bags. He says, North Carolina is now on the table for constitutional carry. That's awesome. That is awesome. And I hear South Carolina is not far behind, because they don't want North Carolina to get ahead of them on anything.
What, 27?
Yeah, we're right now 25. Nebraska and Florida are racing to become 26. One will be 26, one will be 27. So
blow some of that good luck toward Washington State, please.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't think Washington State's even going to make it in the 30s, but we can hope.
That's about all we have at this point. Anyway, keep those comments coming. This is great stuff. If it's something I'm already going to do, I don't care. I'd rather hear the good stuff. I was about to talk about magazines. I have on occasion shown up at the range with just my carry magazines and forgotten to pack spares. Okay, make sure you have some extra magazines. But here's something that most of us do. You see there's a little number on the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've got my practice magazines. These are the ones that go in the dust and the grit and all that crap. These are the ones that get dropped and maybe bend the feed lips, the sheet metal at the back of the magazine, which is a common cause of malfunctions. My carry magazines, once I have used them enough to be comfortable that they're reliable enough, don't get used for practice. So carry a few extras. Number them, letter them, give them names. I don't care. But if magazine number 6 always seems to be the one I'm having trouble with, there's a cure for this, and I'm going to share it with our listeners. If you have a problematic magazine, be proactive. Say I've identified this magazine. Okay, it's always a good idea to clean them. The base plates come off various ways. Spring comes out, follower comes out, so you've got a spring, a follower, the base plate, and the tube. Degrease them. Gun scrub or brake cleaner work very well. Dry them. A light layer of like a dry lube, like Remington's dry lube. Reassemble them and then place them on a very firm surface. Take a 4-pound hammer, beat the crap out of it until your arm's tired, and then buy a new magazine. These are expendable. There is no benefit unless you want to put it someplace where you want to practice your malfunction stuff. Some people do that. That's on you. I will not keep bad kit in the house. Okay, but extra magazines. I also carry a little bit of extra carry ammo in case I accidentally shoot out my carry ammo. I've done that.
I have done that more times than I can count.
So, and this is I have lots and lots of the same brand and weight. I know that it shoots. We've talked about that before. Okay, so there's your blaster, your magazines in your holster. Check your eyes. Okay, I use side shields. I always make sure I've got lots extra because they crack and break, and I hand them out to people. Your regular stuff, make sure that they're clean. Make sure they're not scratched so bad that they impair your vision. Check your Ear Pro. If you have amplified Ear Pro batteries, and we're getting into like nice stuff. I change my batteries beginning of every season. And that they usually last. But the other thing is carry spares. Some of this equipment, your optics on your rifle or shotgun pistol, have batteries that may last 50,000 hours, or Mr. Murphy may decide to mess with you and do
Yes.
something. An extra battery is a real nice thing, as opposed to driving however far you have to drive to the range, and then discovering that your equipment just needs a new battery, but there's no place to get one.
Yeah, exactly.
That stuff. I tend to think ahead and think worst case scenario, and then experience drives that. So that's your basic equipment right there. Okay.
I was half joking when we started the show. Of course I don't have just ammo, ears, and eyes in the range bag. One of the things I ordered a large box of AA batteries from Amazon and a box of AAA batteries from Amazon. Those go in the range bag, and they stay in the range bag. That way, if I have a battery failure in my ears while I'm at the range, no problem. And I'm one that, after 50 years of race cars, rock and roll, and shooting, my hearing isn't as good as it used to be, and I need that amplified. I need that amplified Ear Pro. So,
Yeah, and the other thing is the old saying. It's almost a cliche now. 2 is 1, 1 is none. I have extra everything. I have an extra set of ears, which is nice if you've got a shooter on the line. If you're teaching or you're out with a friend and they're, the $13.95 from Walmart, and it stops the noise, but they can't hear what you're saying.
yep.
A lot of instructors, our school included at FAS, we require that the instructors wear active Ear Pro, just so we can hear those little things like a slide dropping when it ought not, or be able to talk and converse. The prices on the less techno stuff, I've seen them as cheap as $35. It's really a great investment. And that stuff happens.
The one I use the most, I believe I went to Shields, which is a local sporting goods store, and I think I spent $65 on it. I have 2 backups of those Howard lights that everybody has. And those, I believe, are in the $45 to $50 range now, which is not horrible, but I prefer my original ones I got from Shields more. The batteries go out faster, but the amplification is much higher.
The difference I found with those is sound quality and how good you are at being a directional.
Yeah. You get a comment in here from Sisters in Arms. Wear a hat. I'm going to say bring extra hats. And depending on your size, you may want to bring extra T-shirts in case you run across somebody of the female variety that thinks it's really not a big deal to go with a low-cut shirt to the range. You can lend yours.
If you shoot long enough, you will see that happen. I see this as Sisters in Arms. The hat that we require is like a ball cap like you're wearing, and it's not to protect you, it's to protect me on the line. Imagine I've got my usual dummy gun here in God's own design, the 1911, which Valentine's Day, if you're not an aficionado, was the anniversary of being patented in 1911. I've got my blaster, and somebody next to me is not wearing a ball cap. Hot pistol brass goes down here. See it a lot. What are they doing with their live gun? Okay? They may or may not have enough mental, physical control to control where that gun goes. So that hat is not so much for you as for the people around you. As far
Yeah.
as the low cut stuff, it's still cold enough right here. It's still in the 30s here in the Northwest. Although I was talking to one of the guys at Nighthawk just a few hours ago down in Arkansas, and they're still in the 30s too. Um, God designed a natural funnel in the female form, and the brass, when it goes to the chest, it tends to travel southward. I'm trying to be delicate, southward, and sometimes quite far south.
Mm.
That happen again, it's very distracting to the receiver of that brass and potentially dangerous to the folks around her. A neck gaiter, scarf, something, at least a crew t-shirt. See this happen a lot, but that sort of thing. What else we got here? Neck
That was
gaiters.
yes, neck gaiters.
Yeah, great minds.
Exactly. We also got one that just
This,
came in.
this unbuttons, and that's why I like a collared polo shirt, especially when I'm teaching, because I'm right up on somebody with a pistol.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Shooting gloves, if it's cold and windy, um,
good call.
is another one that came in.
Well, hey,
Let's see.
and I didn't even think of this until the Restream bot came up with that. I take hand warmers, the little chemical hand warmers. I had somebody once complain, well, they go in a landfill. What they are is ferric chloride and vermiculite, rust and potting soil. They're perfectly biodegradable. It's a wonderful thing for you instructors out there to have a couple of those already unpackaged and warm. You see an uncomfortable student, hand them one. They will be very grateful. Their anxiety level will go down and they'll be safer. Yeah.
Um, Sisters in Arms chimed in with one that I hadn't and still don't have in my bag, a magnifying glass.
That's one I do not have in my bag either. I always carry a flashlight, but the small stuff. If you've got the time to do a little checking, I would do that, especially on your pre-range, pre-class check. Especially check the extractors, especially the small ones. The 1911 style guns are so small, it doesn't take much of a chip for them to be a problem. Let's move on. We did the equipment stuff. Let's talk about ancillary equipment. I'm not even going to take out what's in this. This is an old prescription bottle. If you don't have one, go to your local pharmacy. Say, hey, I'd like to buy one. Show them about what size. In here, I have got Allen wrenches of various sizes. I have got spare screws for my Kydex stuff. I have got little teeny screwdrivers for, oh my God, there's one I haven't used for a while, for Crimson Trace lasers for sight adjustments. All those little things. Again, you're a rock star if you're the guy that can fix somebody's gun. Little stuff like that. Something I always take to the range.
Yes.
Some type of a multi-tool. I have tons of tools. I tend to clutter up my range bag with them. It's rare that there's something that this won't take care of. These and some torque screwdrivers or something. And then somebody, I forget who, sorry, mentioned whatever you're using for a trauma kit. Okay, tourniquet, minimum.
Yes.
Israeli bandages. Guys, it's really cool to say, I just take some of the wife's tampons. The girlfriend, no. Those are not designed for stopping but a couple of teaspoons of fluid, and they don't get down into the wound channel. Get an Israeli bandage or some type of trauma bandage. Carry a tourniquet. I like to put a chemical light, a chem light in here. If it's dark and it's just me, I can't hold a flashlight and do quick trauma first aid with one hand. Shears if you need to cut stuff away. And this, by the way, this extra thing, this is just a cheap hardware beaner. You can also use these to put on your belt to clip your earmuffs if you don't want to wrap them around your head. All kinds of little stuff, multiple use things.
I want to get a couple comments in if I
Yeah,
could.
get the other stuff.
I want to get this one in first.
Folks, this has been a really good one for comments. I'm really, really happy with it.
People who shoot 9mm need a magnifying glass to see the tiny holes in the cardboard. Now, you just put enough of them right next to each other, and eventually you kind of need a telescope to see it from like 350 yards.
I used to say that too. I used to shoot 45 exclusively until the hands got beat up. So I thought if I'm proactive now, switch to 9, I can extend my shooting career. You know, the World War I was actually started by a 380. So
Yeah.
okay, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Started in Serbia. Somebody got shot with a 380, and millions of people died. One more gear thing: oil. I love these little things. I get this off Amazon. This carries oil, and it screws like a pen. It's got a little, and get it so you can see it, a little dropper, and I push. Oh, camera! I push the top of this, and
Yep.
I'm dripping this, hopefully not on Diane's keyboard. So I don't have to carry a whole big thing. These are well enough made that they don't leak in my range bag, which, believe me, is a pain in the neck. Ask me how I know. A couple of drops of oil in the right place can save a student or can save yourself if for some reason your gun goes dry. At the range, remember, diagnosing if we're practicing or if we're training is the last thing I want to spend my time doing. I may not have the wherewithal to fix it. I want to get it running. Sometimes a couple of drops of oil in the right place will do it until you can get a deep scrub.
Yeah, absolutely it will. I want to get this one in. Mike DeWine, who apparently is a 9mm shooter like I am, he says, a 9mm per puppet POTUS will blow a lung clear out of the body. It should easily be able to be seen where it hits.
Ah, come on, man. Get that shoulder thing that goes up.
One more that you and I were talking about pre-show. All Tools and D-Lead soap. Well, we've got the D-Lead cleaners at the least.
Funny you should mention that. Well, let's get into that. There's some personal things, too, that are real nice. D-wipes. My wife and I shoot enough that we get our lead levels checked through our doctor at the lab annually. Explaining why is usually interesting when I'm breaking in a new doctor. They are not zero. I even testified in a federal court thing about it was related to lead levels at an indoor range. Yeah, do that. I don't put brass when I pick it up in my hat because it's percutaneously through the skin. Lead and heavy metals can be absorbed. Because I have facial hair, if I'm doing this, that's awfully close to food when it goes in, or if I touch my lips. And it stays there a while, maybe an hour afterwards. Or if you're, again, in an indoor range, or the surfaces on an outdoor range, you touch something later on, over a period of time, lead builds up. It's very hard to get rid of lead. It is neurotoxic. It can cause all kinds of personal functions, dysfunctions, mental dysfunctions, sexual dysfunctions. It's nasty to unborn children. Use the lead wipes. So before you eat or drink, wipe your hands down. Don't be cheap. Use more than one. Guys, wipe the mouth down, blow the nose, get that face done. It's a lot cheaper than medical treatment and suffering through that.
Yeah. Sisters in Arms suggests a headlamp. Well, you did suggest a flashlight earlier.
I always
like
carry
the
a
headlamp.
flashlight. We talked about that. Headlamps, yeah. If you're going downrange and you need to see that, that's another good call. See, these are little things that you can do that make life so much simpler. And that I'm going to have to send her $5 because that segues into if I'm assuming it's target stuff that you're talking about, or even being able to check your pistol. Take your targets, okay?
And a stapler.
And a stapler and staples, because you'll always run out right in the middle of it.
And check to make sure you got the right staplers for your stapler. Right
We've all
staples
done
for
that
your
at least
stapler.
once. Okay. I take tape. I tape the little ones if my holes are a bit scattered out. And this is just cheap masking tape. It's not the fancy $4 a roll stuff that's the same color as the cardboard on the IPSC target. And I can afford for this to get wasted and stuff. If I'm shooting really well or up close, save yourself a lot of time and frustration. Just get some wide 2 or 3 inch tape. As far as targets go, this is something we do. I'll take a deck of playing cards. And I'll do this for students when they're shooting well and I have a reward for them, or we'll do it for ourselves. And you'll notice these are all the ace of spades. I get them from a magic supply shop online. It's called a forcing deck. And the ace of spades has a nice little aiming point. And we will occasionally shoot 5 yards, 5 shots. Sometimes we'll time it. Sometimes we won't. Sometimes it'll be low ready. Sometimes it's holster. But Diane and I keep those on the fridge since we don't have but one grandkid to keep stuff from. We'll get some extra room on the fridge. And we can look back and say, oh, I was having a good day or a bad day. That's fun stuff. So you've got all kinds of personal things you can do. If you're at a range that allows you to shoot fast and you do a lot of shooting, invest in a timer.
Yes.
Okay. And as a side note, you want to have maybe a notebook and a pencil or something to write down what your times were. So you can track your progress or give yourself some personal artificial stress. Most ranges I know really disapprove of having somebody shoot at you to induce stress. I'd rather do it artificially. And again, this is a battery issue.
So more important there to, again, have spare batteries in your bag.
Again, batteries. I go through everything. What batteries do I need? I make sure I have them. Because some of them, I've got an aim point that's a fairly exotic one. So I keep those. A couple of things that make life easy. Have water with you. Sunscreen. My heritage is Northern Ireland. Okay? You put me in front of a strong light bulb, I'll sunburn. Sunscreen. Water. I get the little Mio drops I put in there for flavor. And some electrolytes. Because you've got to take care of yourself. If you're getting sunburned, you're not going to shoot for another couple of days. If you get dehydrated, you are frankly unsafe.
That's something, Tom, that you and I have both, when we work as range safety officers or when we work as trainers, that's something you and I both look for in students is signs of dehydration. And I don't know about you, but I always, in the spring, there goes a case of the half-liter Walmart waters. They sell them 40 to a case. That goes in the back of the car. Every time I go to the range, it's with me. And a couple bottles get pulled out just in case I think somebody's not been drinking enough. You're going to finish this before we go on.
FAS, we tell people in all our literature, all the stuff on the website, bring water and food and clothing appropriate for an outdoor thing. But our director just restocked, I don't know how many bazillion cases of water we have, and we'll go through it. Know your own signs of dehydration. For me, I start to lose the ability to concentrate, which is, of course, is what we're watching for. I start to lose words. I have trouble forming sentences, or I'll mumble or stumble or start to act like the current president of the White House a little bit. My wife knows these signs. She'll say, stop, drink a bottle of water now, and I believe her. I'll listen to her.
We are down near we're down near the bottom of the hour. I want to get a couple comments in, and we got to get out of here.
Good, because I got one vital piece left, but it can wait.
Pete over at Gun Website says, to save money, I always shoot through the same hole on the target. I spend a lot less on tape.
You need to shoot faster. Push yourself, dude.
Yeah, open those groups up.
You do. Find out where the edge. I know I shoot through the same hole too. Or sometimes it's one good hole and then a berm.
Clovertack says, playing cards are fun to shoot. Also a fun way to play poker if you're feeling competitive.
There's all kinds of game targets out there. Tom Gibbons likes to play a casino drill. He's got a target bet. Yeah, it makes shooting fun, and you're still getting practice if you're serious about it.
You bet. Going back to Sisters at Arms, and Carrie Ann, thank you for all these comments. I got one. Yes. I got one that Carrie Ann sent that I don't know the answer to, but if you'll get a hold of me off the air, I'll answer it for you. Anyway, this time she says, important for nursing moms to use, for speaking of water for dehydration. I'm pretty sure is what she's talking about. And one more I want to get from Gun Websites. As a content creator, keep a logbook of your range trip. Keep as much detail as you can. You end up retaining a lot more from your range trips. And I lied. Here, this one just popped. This is from Clovertack. Dehydration will quickly affect your vision. Your shooting will suffer big time without good vision. And I lied again. I got one more that just popped. I want to talk about this, Tom, and we got to do it quickly. Some people need double ears.
Indeed. And by that, I'm assuming that you mean the little foamies
Mm-hmm.
underneath muffs. Absolutely, yes. Especially if you're shooting long guns, it breaks the seal in the muff. When I've got a class of brand new shooters that have never shot before, I'll stand back while somebody else does the first shot demo and see how they react to that sound. First time startle. If it happens twice, I offer them foamies to put under their muffs. Or if that's all they've got is foamies, I'll offer them muffs to put over. Paul, there's one more piece of equipment, especially if you shoot an outdoor range,
Yep.
but certainly indoor ranges as well, that I highly recommend. You can carry a bunch of these in your range bag. They are cheap. This is a large one for purposes of illustration. Plastic garbage bag. Don't be the slob at
Yes.
the gravel pit. Okay? People are watching us more closely than ever, us as a shooting community. Do not embarrass us.
Always leave the range in a better condition than it was when you showed up. If it doesn't matter if it's a private range, if it's a public range, wherever you're at, if you're going out shooting, leave the place in a better condition than it was when you showed up.
Even if nobody else is there to see you do it.
Yep. Absolutely. Tom, we are plumb out of time. Anything coming up that you want to plug at Firearms Academy of Seattle, man?
We have a lot of the usual classes because season has already started. My wife was teaching all last weekend with full classes. We have the usual introductory classes, like here's the hole, here's the lever, there's the target. Concealed carry classes on working holster, which few people do. We have I'm trying to remember, close quarters carbine class coming up, and our basic classes, we try to offer those a lot early in the year so people can use those as prereqs. We do have a really cool class coming up, and let's see, the end of April, we have John Farnham of Defense Tactics International who's doing his advanced urban rifle. He doesn't offer that often. We've got the facility to do that, and it's not just the how-to, but the when and the why. Check it out, if you would please, at www.firearmsacademy.com.
Very cool. For me, I'm going to say goodbye for a little bit. This is the last broadcast until Monday through Friday next week. It's going to be earlier in the day. I don't know how much earlier. I can't give you a specific time. I'm hoping to do some solo bullets next week, and I'm hoping to accomplish that Monday through Friday. I'm going to be in the Virgin Islands. Yeah, who knows? But my intent is to get breaking news Monday through Friday next week. Just me, no co-hosts. And what you see behind me is likely what you're going to be seeing then, because that picture was taken from Kathy Jackson's porch. So I'm hoping that it'll just be a little bit brighter what you see behind me, and it'll be me and the microphone from my backup computer and that camera. So not a great picture, but I'm going to try to keep Monday through Friday bringing the news to you every day next week. No Saturday show this week, no Polite Society on Monday next week, and no Saturday show next week as I start my journey back. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks for watching. Thank you especially to everybody who commented, and we'll see you next time.